It says we have internet still.
Why? What's
Oh,
happening?
did it start sending us your video from your streaming soft? Oh.
Are we live again? What's happening? Did it like create a new video?
I, I, I'll check.
What the fuck?
Yes, it did create a new video.
God damn it.
Well, you know. I'm going to read Amy Worrell's in-depth discussion of Pokemon Horizons up to the current episode being watched.
Alright,
Because she said in the chat, not suggesting anything, but I wrote an analysis on this. So, thank you, Amy. While not groundbreaking and being the exact opposite of subtle, I think this episode is giving genuinely good advice on how to deal with anxiety, especially to the young kids that are the show's target audience. Namely, that there is no one answer, and that the only way you can find your path is by trying, while bringing attention to the fact that feeling as if you don't belong in a certain space is not a failure. To people our age, it might be obvious that hard times exist, and seeing that what this show presents as hard times could even come off as exaggerated. But I can easily see myself saying, wow, that's deep to this episode if I watched it a few years ago. Structurally, I like how... sorry, bad at reading. Structurally, I also enjoyed how it stated some of the other characters' mottos to give Liko a foundation to work on. Roy essentially pulls a Soletta move ahead, gain 2 move, while to Freed it is, if you get lost, you can always double back and find another path. Liko is actually much closer to Molly in this regard, and the overarching dynamic of the Rising Voltekers is to bring in people that live their lives differently through their shared love of whatever that path is. In the context of this show, Liko just comes out and says it is Pokemon that they love. Don't have much to say aside from that, since it is all pretty telegraphed, but Pokemon always felt to me like that thing I would have enjoyed as a kid. But with this one, I am easily being capable of excusing the overly simplistic presentations. Sometimes I don't want to have to crack something up with my zillions of neurons. Also, I love them. I want the one with the Mibrim in Liko's hood. But we'll get there.
Well put.
Yeah, well put, Amy. Thank you. I hope you don't mind me reading that. I just, I had started reading it and I thought, well, I might as well.
Yeah, that's good. And it bought us a little bit of time for people to realize that the stream had restarted and they had to go to another link. Anyway, yeah, Liko reassures Mibrim and is like, I'm going to bring you back where I found you tomorrow. Don't worry. And then, she's got it in her little pouch, the hoodie, the little hood on her hoodie.
It's very cute.
It's really cute. Also, by the way, just Liko has my favorite like outfit in this show. Like the most I would wear this in the whole show.
I've probably dressed like Freed most of the time if I could.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's
or
pretty
Dot.
Styling. Dot's pretty cool too. I'm kind of dressed like Dot right now, actually. But
oh my god, I hadn't even noticed in this shot the Mibrim's just chilling in the hoodie still.
yeah,
Liko's not even wearing the hoodie and shit. Oh, it's fucking adorable.
So I liked this scene, the way they portrayed, like Liko lets go of Mibrim and then kind of looks sad about it, and then
Nyahoja sees this and stops the Mibrim and says, Nyahoja.
Yeah, like has like a little Pokemon conversation with it, and then it runs back. And so I love how open to interpretation it is what Nyahoja told Mibrim. Like, did he say like, hey, actually she really likes you and wants you around, or like, hey, you don't have to leave if you don't really want to. This is just what she thinks you want. Like, I don't know what he said to...
Man,
what she said.
To be completely honest, I can't believe a Pokemon has better like emotional communication skills than I do. It's pretty terrifying.
I mean, next time, just try saying
to be completely honest, that might work.
All right. Yeah, this was fucking adorable. I'm really glad Liko's got a second Pokemon and that it's not only adorable but also evolves into one of the greatest Pokemon of all time.
Oh
so,
yeah. Do you think by the end of this they're just gonna have like 6 Pokemon and both have like whole parties that are just hanging out all the time?
God, I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
I think this was like my favorite Liko episode. This is like, I've really
because a lot of Liko episodes are repetitive. They're just going over like, man, she's not at home anymore. Isn't that
it's
tough?
that up until now she hasn't been sure what she wants to do, and in this episode she literally statement of intent. I figured it out.
I want to understand my Pokemon.
I want to understand what the Pokemon are feeling, and I think that it was appropriate for the show to take this long to get to this point, and I was like, this show. When we were in the early episodes, I remember being like kind of confused about what it was trying to do because it was introducing so many characters. It had these villain attacks every episode. It had like way more of an overarching plot for the first few episodes. And having started off with the one where she's just like being introduced to Pokemon school, and then that is never relevant again.
Freed is a teacher in the Pokemon school.
It was just such a maelstrom of a start to a series.
Whoa, a maelstrom? Can't we have a female strom? Gosh, sexist.
And I just remember feeling like I really hope that because this show is so incredibly long, it will have the space to very gradually flesh out all of these characters and all these concepts. And as it has gone, it has delivered. Yeah. Like 21 episodes in, I feel like I understand Liko and Roy and Dot and Freed and Murdoch, and like
we understand the Nurse Joy character too.
I know some things about her. I know some things about the mechanic girl, the old man. Like I have some sense of who all these people are, how they all ended up on this adventure together, what they care about, what they're trying to accomplish. Even Captain Pikachu, we know, like, wants to fly. Like, all of these characters have a dream. They're trying to pursue something.
It is really strange that we got a Captain Pikachu backstory episode before we got a backstory episode on, like, the old man or Molly or even Murdoch. Like, I mean, I guess we did get up Murdoch.
Well, but, Captain Pikachu's backstory kind of was all of those characters' backstory, because the old man owned the fishing boat, and...
Yeah, but like, that old man spends all of his time sitting alone and fishing. Something more has to be going on. Actually, in this episode, they do take a moment while Mibrim's like bopping about all by herself, and they cut to the old man.
He says something like...
well, it's not the old man, I think it's the narrator.
No, it's the old man says, and it's sort of like Hatteran is implied to be passing by. Yeah. And he says... I'm trying to remember it exactly because it's a pretty good quote. He says something to the effect of, like, taking on the emotions of others is difficult, but living by yourself is even more difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Amy said my theory is the old man is writing the show.
I like that. My theory is the old man is Ash Ketchum.
He is God. Oh, that would be fun. Ash just became a fisherman at his old age.
Why not?
But yeah, so this was cute. This was fun. I liked it. All right, time for Monster. And this also
was a cute episode
cute
for Monster.
Episode? Sure, yeah.
I mean, it was sad, of course. It's Monster, but, it was fun. So we start with, what is Kanojo
Okarishimasu Season 3? No. I don't even remember... having seen season 2 or even 1.
Oh, no, probably not.
Oh yeah, Rental Girlfriend. Yeah, I only saw the first season of that, and I really hated it. So I'm going to say no. Did you end up watching any of that?
No. I don't need to know.
I did that on Canton. So
anyway, Monster.
Yeah. So this episode starts off with the detective man is interrogating this military dude who apparently recently had Dr. Tenma as a student. And he's like, I need to know about him. And he's like, I ain't telling you shit about my students.
Well, he doesn't say I ain't telling you shit. He says I don't like to talk about my students.
Sure. You know, that
I get that that's literally what he's saying. I'm just... This guy knows how to talk to the cops.
Sure, yeah. You're making sure I'm not implying that he speaks like a street punk, actually, in the show.
Yes, he is a very disciplined military person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Tenma, then we cut to like 3 months before. Tenma shows up to this guy's house and explains, yeah, I'd like to learn how to shoot a gun. And the guy goes, have you shot a gun before? And he goes, no. And the guy goes, what? Usually people show up here having shot guns before. Well, okay. Yeah. That works, because the first thing I tell everyone is to forget everything they know about shooting guns. Bit.
He said everyone forgets everything they know about guns anyways, but, you know, it is weird that you've never shot one before. But, yeah, it's a good way of establishing that, like, no matter who came here, they were going, like, this guy is the ultimate trainer.
Yeah.
So, like, regardless of your lack of experience with guns, it wouldn't have mattered. You would have felt inexperienced with guns after learning from this motherfucker.
But so then he, regardless of your experience, this is where everyone starts. This is jump roping. Yes. And so we get about a 2-minute montage of Tenma jump roping and this guy going, go faster. And we also see there's a little girl who is really good at jump roping.
Yeah.
And then we cut...
Jumping rope?
Oh, I apologize. Jumping rope. Oh, the lag's back. Whatever. We're going to keep going, I guess. It says excellent connection. I don't care. Anyway. Tenma's not eating, and the guy goes, eating is part of your training, you better fucking eat. And then this girl gets up and walks out because she's done eating, because she's really good at training.
Yeah, so they have a conversation about it. They're like, he's like, yeah, your daughter, you know, our granddaughter, she's really good. And he's like...
No, I killed her parents.
Yeah, I actually found when I was in Myanmar doing some military stuff.
Sorry, I just like saying Myanmar like that.
I'm thinking about it. I don't even know what military stuff in Myanmar was happening at any time.
I don't know currently, but like a year or two ago, there was a coup in Myanmar. So
jeez.
Yeah.
So I guess at some point when some sort of violence was happening in Myanmar, this guy ended up killing this girl's mom in front of her, and then taking her in, and he is of the opinion that she is going to hate him until he is dead, because she's never smiled or laughed. She's just been, you know, pissed off and taking his training. But Dr. Tenma has some doubts about that. You can tell Tenma's kind of like, I don't know. I think that girl might think you're cool, but we'll see. And so they're training, you know, he teaches him how to shoot guns and shit. At one point, this is where the guys like made them Japanese food, you know, just to let Tenma feel at home. And he can't use chopsticks. He's like,
well, he can't use chopsticks to pick up like a whole ass fucking little potato. Like, Tenma, cut those shits up, you know?
Tenma didn't make the food. This guy made them Japanese food. So that
no, Tenma made Japanese food.
Really?
There's a whole sequence of Tenma cooking the Japanese food and going, hey, I know you...
Well, then, yeah, what the fuck? Why didn't he
cut the fucking potatoes? It's a strange thing, you know? Like, even... Like, as an American who uses a fork and a knife, I don't want to eat a whole fucking potato. I don't care if they're the fingerling little guys. Like, I want to, you know, cut them up. That's all I'm saying. The little girl finds a bird.
Yeah, there's like a baby bird that fell out of its nest. He's like, it's very difficult to raise it away from its nest, huh? Yeah, just like you, child, who's not in the nest
Jesus
from
Christ.
which you fell. Yes. Dead mom. All right.
It's worth mentioning that the mom that he killed was holding like an AK-47 at him.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't for no reason.
He literally said, I would have died if I did not shoot her right then and there. So, anyway... Tenma trains. He learns how to gun. He learns how to eat, I guess. And then he just kind of skips out one day. I don't think he actually finished the training. He just leaves the rest of the money and fucks off. Meanwhile, they've still got, I guess, leftover Japanese food they're trying to eat.
No, they're just making it, you know? They're just making the Japanese food. I hadn't caught that Tenma skipped out. I thought he just left. You know, because he was done. He seems to know how to shoot a gun.
I was under the impression... Well, yeah, I guess he learned what as much as he felt he needed to, but I was under the impression he was not actually done with the lesson.
Maybe not. Maybe the heat was catching up with him.
I think that either it's that he knew that the cops were catching up, or that he found out where Johan was going to be and just went, all right, bye. But yeah, so he just like leaves the letter with the rest of the tuition, and then we see them eating, and because the goofy man cannot use chopsticks, the little girl laughs at him. She's like, ha 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 ha. You are not such a scary man. You cannot even use the chopsticks. I think she's
just laughing at him because he can't use chopsticks. Yeah. I don't think it's that he's not scary.
I just think that's the underlying, you know, she's like, haha, I know you, soft man. Anyway, yeah, basically that's it. The episode is mostly Tenma training with that guy. And the police pretty much, I mean, it's weird because the detective like asks the military man, you know, for information, and he says, I don't want to tell you anything about my student. Then we go into like this lengthy memory of what happened during, you know, him training, and then it cuts back and it almost implies that he did just tell the detective a bunch of that stuff, because he tells him some information. Like, he tells him that Tenma, like, how good he is with a gun will depend on when he has to actually shoot someone. I mean, it's very clear that he expects Tenma to shoot someone, and I think him communicating that to the detective already is, like, kind of a lot of information. But then he also is, like, not going to tell him any more information than that. And he's like, oh, I don't know where he went, you know. But,
well, he knows where he went.
Seemed like...
He says he knows where he went. He just says he can't tell them.
I just think it was strange that he gave them any information at all. And especially information that basically suggested, yeah, Tenma's definitely gonna shoot somebody. Like, just letting you know. Anyway, here's Tenma, like, riding in the back of a cart. And that's the end of that episode. And now it's time for Speed Racer, but I'm gonna wait till Bird is back from the bathroom. What are you doing?
You talk.
What are you doing?
Things.
We gotta talk about Speed Racer. I know. You gotta come sit down. I can't do this with you standing over there. Oh, you're trying to find your phone. It seems to have fallen into this chair.
I see. That would make sense.
Alright.
So I had said in the last episode that we covered of Speed Racer that there's the potential we are entering territory that I was not familiar with. I am familiar with this series of episodes, yes.
The last episode of Speed Racer, it went on the rails through a mine shaft that exploded.
Yeah.
And they beat the mammoth car. Now it's back off the rails. Because this episode...
It's still pretty on the fucking rail. Or off the rails, you know? It's still pretty off the rails.
That's what I said. It's off... I said that.
Wait, but you said it was on the rails.
Last episode was on rails. Because they were on rails.
No, they weren't.
They were on the minecart. In the mines. That exploded.
Yeah, that episode was still pretty off the rails, though.
This episode is back off the rails because...
I think the show is just consistently off the rails.
Look, this episode opens with a clown turning into a cute girl who then says, all right, everybody, it's time to jump these cars. And then we see multiple people basically just gore themselves trying to jump these cars. and then in comes a guy with a ridiculous looking
His name
helmet.
is Snake.
Called
He's very
Snake.
cool. His helmet goggles go like all the way down over his face, but not like over his nose. It's like they're. I mean, it doesn't look like a snake.
I don't know if I got a screen cap of his helmet.
You can get a screen cap of Snake? What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I got him killing them right here. Snake shows up and he's like,
He doesn't kill them.
he's like, you know what? There's not even enough cars up there for me to do that jump.
Put some more cars on there.
He does the jump, and his car sort of like twists and contorts in midair to have a perfect landing.
And then after all of this happens, Pop's Racer comes out and goes, "Wow, he's part of the Acrobat Clan."
Yeah. So, and then the Acrobat Clan, which is like 10.
It's way more than 10. It's like 20, 30 dudes.
I only got. It's funny that there's only one car in this.
Well, that's
specific
Snake's
image.
car, isn't it?
This is them getting attacked by like all 20 guys at once. Like it just keeps cutting back.
I don't think they get
forth,
attacked
and,
by them. I think they just like jump over them.
The acrobat cars all turn up and just start like very aggressively,
Stunting on them.
Yeah, stunting on Speed and his team by like literally leaping inches over their heads, like forcing them to duck to the ground to avoid death. I would call it a assault by car, for sure.
Sorry, worlds are colliding that I never thought would collide in any way, shape, or form. Mint Salad has gone viral on Twitter recently. She put out a video called "Stop Watching Disney Star Wars" on Twitter. It has 17.4 million views.
17.4? Holy shit!
It's incredible. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's probably up another million, and then it's like up 6.
Vince Tits really went viral.
But AOC Presents. Check out Mint. She does daily movie reviews. The worlds colliding were a trans schizo poster I follow quote tweeted the Mint Salad video saying, "Yes, ma'am, anything you say," and it's just not.
You never thought you'd see Lil Pipe retweeting Mint Salad. That is interesting. 17.4 million views.
It's fucking incredible.
Damn.
I haven't liked or retweeted this.
That's in like 3 days, right?
2 days.
2 days?
Oh.
God damn. Anyway, in Speed Racer, the Acrobat League has attacked, and they are assholes. So they're getting ready to apparently, I guess, like all of them enter the race at the Alps. That's been being built up for like 3 whole episodes now. It's actually amazing how
have they been building
much
up to this race in the Alps?
Yeah, they've all the money that they've been trying to make was like to enter the race in the Alps. It's pretty much like the whole show has been, when are we gonna do this Alps race? And there's a very bizarre scene where Speed and Trixie and Sparky and Spritle and Chim Chim are hanging out in like just a beautiful meadow in the middle of the mountains. Just gorgeous place. And then Sparky's like, I don't know if you can do this Alps thing. It's really dangerous. And Speed's like, what in the fuck did you just say to me? I'm confident. I can do this race. And he's just like, I'm just worried about you, Speed. And Speed literally picks up and drops him. Like, just like beats up his friend. This kid who was like murdered in the last arc.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. In terms of like internal strife with Go Mifune, I never expected Sparky to be on the receiving end of it. Sparky's literally just like a great mechanic who likes to hang out with Speed.
All he said was, I'm worried about you and this race is scary, and Speed dropped his ass. Trixie is clinging to his leg, begging him to stop beating up his friend.
I've just got to say, I would say that's very Rex Racer behavior. Beating up your friend for saying you're not good at racing.
There's a reason they call him a demon on wheels. He's a demon coming after someone. Speaking of demons, so like Pops comes to the conclusion that there must be something special about the acrobat cars that lets them do what they do. And so Spritle decides that he's going to investigate. Him and Chim Chim, like, get together this weird old car and then, like, dress like vampires or something and go out
Yeah,
for
I
a
wasn't
night
sure
drive.
what that whole deal was.
They get chased by a bear for a while. It's but basically they find the acrobat cars who are doing like a satanic fucking ritual up in the mountains, and like talking about their animal identities and shit. They're literally out in the snow holding torches, doing like KKK shit. It's
well, no.
weird.
Sorry, I know you mentioned it was a KKK. They're worshiping like an evil god. They're not.
Yeah.
It's not race related.
It
They're
doesn't
just
have to be race related.
But you said it was KKK shit, which implies it's race related.
This is just literally
Yeah, I've seen the KKK scene in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Or the one in
Django Unchained. Yeah. They're just doing a little bit of Eldritch God worship, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're worshiping a god so that they are better at driving.
Ellen thought of the KKK and is not even American. So
I'm not saying it's not similar to what the KKK did. I'm just saying this is just a bunch of guys who really want to be good at doing car tricks. It's not like that. They're just trying to be the baddest.
So basically,
Did we mention that this episode is titled The Nefarious Acrobat Clan?
We did not.
Because, like, I don't... And that's the other thing, too, is, like, what are they doing necessarily that's nefarious except for things that... Like, to be nefarious, you have to have criminal goals.
They do have criminal goals. They tried to attack Speed and his friends with their cars.
No,
they tried to murder them.
They did cool tricks over them. It's different. They're acrobats. They know they're not going to kill Speed Racer by doing a cool trick over his head.
If he dodges.
He didn't dodge.
He had to. He was like ducked down. Like, oh shit. Like, oh. Like, they were like.
Okay. For the sake of argument.
Okay.
If 20 cars that you were well aware could do acrobatic tricks were coming straight at you, would you just stand there?
No.
You duck or jump or something,
Yeah.
right? And then, because they are such great acrobats, they would adjust to the scenario. So if you say jumped, they would just drive straight.
Right.
And they wouldn't hit you. Or maybe, ooh, this would be cool. Maybe like the first one would like drive straight under you, and then all the other ones would jump over you.
Is extremely nefarious.
It's not nefarious. They're
nefarious.
not doing anything.
Punking around with people and playing with their lives.
I think intimidation is great. No, I don't.
So
but,
anyway,
I don't think it makes them nefarious. They don't have like criminal goals.
We don't know that yet.
Exactly. So calling it the Nefarious Acrobat Clan is a little, spoiler alert. Come on. God.
They find out that the reason the Acrobat Clan can do what they can do is because they got special stuff on their car that's like a wing, and so Speed's dad starts fucking tearing it up into the night, trying to add shit to the car.
To the point like he gives himself a heart attack or something.
Yeah, he like passes out in exhaustion. And then also Racer X like basically fucks with Speed while he's practicing on the course and being like, look, you need to realize this is way more dangerous than you think it is. Here's all the places where people usually die on this course because of the fact that like they're too busy paying attention to each other and not to the environment.
Well, and like the mud, or if it's raining, it gets muddy, and so your tires lose traction. Which they have this whole sequence of Racer X explaining this to Speed. As soon as the race fucking starts, Speed is slipping and sliding all over the goddamn track. He is not as good of a driver as we've been led to believe.
No, well, I mean, and also Racer X is like the greatest of all time. But there's like, as soon as this race starts, two people are just dead immediately. It's like, go, and then bam, car going off a cliff and exploding. And you're like, well, all right. Yeah, these people probably shouldn't have done this. I guess that's all the screen caps I got for
I'll
this.
tell you, though, most of the races in Speed Racer that the racers have entered into, They shouldn't have done it.
They should not
There's
have.
gonna, like, in every single race we see in Speed Racer, at least 2 people are
Regular
gonna die.
racing is dangerous. They're doing it like on mountaintops and shit, and like there's parts where it seems as though they are explaining that you have to bounce between rock surfaces. Like, you literally have to do some crazy, like, ricochet your car off of this thing onto another thing to get past. Like,
I do remember us watching this episode and you saying something to the effect of, imagine getting into Speed Racer because you liked racing.
yeah. Like, oh man, like they made a cartoon about racing. That's cool. And then you're watching it. You're like, what is the fuck happening in this show?
Do you think the modern Speed Racer is a little less insane? Like the Speed Racer we watched, it's like
the
a
film, the movie.
No, not the movie.
Oh,
like
Racer
that,
X
yeah, Speed Racer X. I think is what
Speed
it's
Racer
called.
X. Probably is less insane, but I don't know. We only like sampled the first episode, and that looked like it was just a racing anime. But I don't know. This show is, I mean, it's all death races. Like, it's all the most insane, crazy, like, action scenario you could possibly imagine happening with a race. All right. I guess that's it for this episode of Speed Racer. It was wild. It was manic. Now it's time for another wild and manic show, Mobile Suit Gundam. Are you prepared, Bird, to talk about the Gundam? What are you looking at?
Nothing. Yeah, so guess what? Amuro is tired of being a soldier because Amuro is not a soldier. Wow.
Yeah, this kid who has gotten really good at piloting a Gundam and killing people, probably just about last on the list of things that he would ever want to do, just not really his bag. Happens to love machines, so he's got a great relationship with the Gundam, kind of, but, his life has been just murdering people and not really sleeping or eating or feeling okay.
I'm going to be completely honest. The him not eating thing, probably a choice.
Yeah, he's really turned down a lot of food, even though they're trying to give him big, like, he gets assigned bigger portions, he just won't eat
because
them.
he's being treated like a pilot, and
Right.
Kai is being an asshole about it because Kai is an asshole
Yeah.
about everything.
Well, he's calling the chef fat and accusing him of stealing
was
extra
pretty based.
portions. The chef's like, "Fuck you, idiot! I literally don't have time to sneak extra portions with all the cooking I have to do." Yeah, just basically Kai's being a dick. But this episode is mostly about Amuro being very, very sad, and I think mostly trying to portray him as a very sensitive type of a guy. Like, he's in the food court because Frau Bo is like trying to force him to eat, and he sees a man like literally steal like a piece of food off of a child's plate, and he's so just disgusted with this that he offers his food up to the woman and child in question, and they're like, "What the?" Frau's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Amuro?" And he's like, "Don't make me eat in a place like this if you want me to fucking eat." Like, so.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I've said that sentence to you.
Don't make me eat in a place like this.
If you want me to eat, yeah.
But yeah, they.
Wait, hang on. I'm seeing a problem in the chat. What are you guys doing not eating raw tomatoes? Like,
yeah, I would eat a raw tomato.
have you ever had a BLT before? Because if you've had a BLT, you're eating raw tomatoes.
Well, eat a raw. Just salt that shit.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like,
Cut that shit up. Throw some salt and pepper on that.
genuinely, a really great
put a piece
summer
of cheese
snack.
on that motherfucker?
See, you lost me. Okay, but
Caprese.
stop it. If it's mozzarella, it's fine. But you said slice of cheese, and that made me think American, knowing you. So
well, why? No, ew.
good,
No,
good.
What are you talking about?
Good. All right, so let me be honest with you. What you got to do, You gotta wait till tomatoes are in season. Obviously, they're a seasonal. I was about to call them a fruit, but I feel like I'm gonna get shit no matter what I refer to them as. So it's a seasonal vegetable, and so you need to get them while they're in season. What is this season? I genuinely have no fucking idea. But if you can find heirloom tomatoes, one of the best snacks you will ever have. You slice that motherfucker up. You put some really nice salt on it, and like Malden, the smoked salt. Ooh, you put some of that on. You let it sit for maybe 5 minutes, and then you can just eat it like that. To be completely honest with you, I am a fan of the caprese route, as Beatrice mentioned, which is, slices of tomato, slices of fresh mozzarella, and then basil as well. You can actually, I think it's typically served with like a drizzle of balsamic vinegar also, and olive oil because it's Italian. So yeah, that's really really good. You should just eat raw tomatoes. I do know that tomatoes are fruit scientifically. I know this argument is what I'm trying to say. I just don't fucking care because the only reason they're listed as vegetables was because of a fucking trade dispute in the 70s or something. Wow, trade laws are silly. Anyway, my mind just went off on a tangent about how I wished I could have Japanese trucks.
So anyway, in this episode, Garma's like determined to go out and fight the Gundam himself because he's like, I fucked up and I really am not going to be able to face my sister unless I go do something about it myself. And Char's like, do you really got to do that? And Garma's like, Char, I realize you have no family, so you don't understand these things, but I have to answer to my sister. So later in the episode, there's going to be a moment where Garma comes back having lost, and it's just like...
Oh my god, Garma lost? What a shock. I cannot believe that Garma lost.
Garma comes back having lost, and he's like, Char, what the fuck? You didn't do anything. And Char's like, look, man, I wasn't trying to hurt your pride or whatever, dog. I couldn't have shot. You were in the way of my shot, so I couldn't have shot that guy. But also, you said you had to do it yourself. I think Char left Garma out there because of this comment. Because of Garma saying you have no family, Char's just like, fuck you, bitch. You go fight. Fuck you.
Because you've told me stuff about, Char doesn't like these people, right?
They might have killed his family.
Okay.
They might be No, they don't know that. The zombies don't know who Char really is. Char Aznable is a fake identity.
And that's sort of been mentioned a little bit. Not confirmed, but the first time him and Sayla saw each other, they were both Racer Xing it of oh my god, that's my older brother Rex, or that's my younger sister.
And neither one of them was using the name that the other. She's not Sayla, he's not Char.
Yeah.
But their parents, were killed by the zombies. So the fact that this guy unknowingly is just like, well, you don't have a family, and Char's just sitting there like, yeah, why is that again? So, yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of spoilers that helps you appreciate the plot a little bit better of what's really going on between Char and Garma. Very bad blood that Garma does not really understand. Anyway, this is probably the single most famous scene in this show in terms of being referenced by other shows, being just a culturally significant moment. Is Amuro really doesn't want to do it. He refuses the call. He's like, I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to fight. Fuck it. I'm done. And Bright Noah comes into his room and slaps the shit out of him. And Amuro's blown away that this happened. And then Bright slaps him again. And Amuro says, my own father never even hit me. And Bright
that's the second time he said that.
Bright Noah says, no, it's not. This is
Amuro has said, my own father has never hit me before.
Really?
Yes.
I know I've brought up this.
I don't remember who else has hit him, but I know he said it before.
Well, this is the famous scene where Bright hits him and he says, my own father never even hit me. And Bright's like, what kind of man, has gone his whole life without ever being hit? And it's especially it's an interesting moment that this happens here, and I'll say, like, having originally seen the Gundam films, this feels a lot earlier in the movies. Like, I don't know how much of the fighting in these last few episodes was cut out, because I don't remember, but I remember it feeling to me more like Amuro had fought a few times and then hit this sort of low point. But in the anime, the TV show, you have more of a sense of, like, he's really been trying. Like, he's been trying for, it's 8 episodes in. 9, or this is episode 9. So, like, there's been 8 straight episodes of him going out there, pushing himself. We've really seen that he never wanted to do it. It was always hard. He's come close to refusal before,
but now he's like actively being like, I'm a little pussy.
Yeah, this is the first time he's finally just like, I am done. And, like, it's easy to imagine him being, like, at the end of his rope, because we know he's not sleeping, we know he's not eating, we know he's killing dozens and dozens of people.
He's the best at killing people. I mean,
he's
like,
really
that...
good at it. Yeah. So, you know, it's not too surprising that he would reach this place at this point.
I don't think this comes out of nowhere. Maybe you had said something to that effect, but yeah, like, literally, wasn't the last episode or 2 episodes ago Sayla telling Amuro, like, yeah, none of us want to be doing this. Yeah. None of us are happy doing this.
No,
this is not what anyone else wants to be doing.
I would say, if anything, the show has been building to this moment, for sure, of, like, trying to convince him to keep going, but ultimately, like, showing that it wears on him until this level. And I think this also was meant to... The reason this scene is so famous is that, like, you know... In America, I guess everything like this gets blamed on millennials, of, like, we're the generation of the coddled generation where, like, your parents never hit you, you know? My parents never hit me.
I don't think he'd mind me sharing this. My dad was always very much on the I don't think my dad was entirely ready to be a dad. I don't think my mom was either, but, like, my dad was trying, so he would just do whatever the current books were saying.
I see.
I think at first that was, like, if we were probably, like, from 3 to 6, if we were acting up, he would just, like, hold us in place for as long as it took us to stop, like, being psychos. Let me tell you, that doesn't work for someone with ADHD. I just kept being a psycho. And then a little bit after that, I would say from, like, 6 to 10, I don't know that this was, like, a parenting book or anything, but he would just, you know, if we were really acting up, he would slap us once across the face. And let me tell you, that works. I didn't feel, like, abused about it. It was just like, oh, okay, I should stop doing whatever I was just doing.
I mean, I guess I never acted up as a kid, so I never had something to get hit about.
That was my specialty as a kid.
But yeah, like, I think, especially in Japan, like, I'm just imagining, you know, culturally where they're at in 1979, of, like, you know, this once very, like, warrior-esque culture, like, where men were expected to go and fight for their country and shit, reaching a point where, like, their society is more and more based around technology, and the fact that, like, Japan was becoming this, you know, first world country, basically, in these couple of decades leading up to this. And, like, I just think that the concept of, like, teenager who's never been hit by their parents was, like, a zeitgeist concept at this moment in Japanese culture. And that's why this scene, like, hit so hard, is that, like, the kinds of people who were watching Gundam are, like, young people who've never been hit before, you know, and trying to conceive of war, of, like, the ultimate violence, on a social level, like, feels so incredibly distant to somebody who has never even been inflicted direct personal violence because of how soft the society around them has become.
I just want to say, I appreciate Gundam. It's a cool show. But I feel like you could get everything out of what you could get out of Gundam by listening to Edwin Starr's War. What is it good for?
The song?
Yes, the song. Yeah, I just feel
True.
like it covers all the same points that I feel have been covered in Gundam at this point. I don't know. I get it. It's to sell models and talk about how terrible war is, which, yeah, both of those things, cool.
I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was some some yaoi feelings drummed up by this scene, you know, as I stare at Bright grabbing Amuro by the collar. I think this only because I know that the Gundam fan base was initially mostly women. I'm wondering, were they shipping it? So there's another great line that I'm surprised hasn't been as quoted.
It disappoints me to say this or something.
It disappoints me to say it, but I guess I am a man, is I think the full quote. Really, really great line. But so, yeah, basically after Bright slaps Amuro around, it's just like, Bright says something like, I thought you might have had the ability to surpass Char, but I guess you're just a fucking worthless insect. And then he storms off. And Amuro runs out into the hallway like, wait, what did you mean by that? And Frau Bo's like, Amuro, if you're not going to do this, I'll pilot the fucking Gundam. If you can't proudly say that you have defended us with your life,
It's
piloting.
Funny. It's funny because she goes, I'll pilot the Gundam. And then Amuro just kind of laughs and goes, you couldn't pilot the Gundam.
Yeah, well, so she says, like, if you can't say with confidence that you protected us with the Gundam, you are not a man. And he just, like, puts his hands on her shoulders and goes, Frau, you could not pilot the Gundam. I regret to inform you, but I guess I am a man. I guess I will have to pilot the stupid thing. So, yeah, I guess Amuro has manned up because he doesn't want Frau Bo to try to pilot the Gundam. Pretty much the same thing that happened in Evangelion. I mean, Shinji didn't want to do it until he saw Rei getting ready to do it, and then he's like, shit, I can't let her do that. Ellen says, I wanted to see Frau Bo pilot the Gundam. Yeah, that would have been fun. So anyway, Amuro blasts off, he goes into battle, and at first, like, because he's in ground mode, the enemy's like, we'll just take him out with our planes. And he's like, little do they know, the Gundam's got rocket thrusters, and I got a rocket launcher. And so he just starts, like, doing super bunny jumps and fucking blowing people away. And everybody is super impressed. They're just like, damn, Amuro, you fucking really know how to kill people really good. You're, like, the master of this. You're, like, awesome at it. Garma gets his ass wiped. Apparently, he's got a bunch of dirt in his plugs, which made it so radio communications were faulty.
Char did that. Char absolutely did that.
That seems likely, right? Doesn't that seem likely?
I hadn't even thought about that at first. I thought it was just Garma being an annoying person. But no, Char absolutely fucked with his communication. He had to have.
It seems likely. And then, basically, this really cute girl from higher up in command at the Federation shows up and is like, hey, we still think you guys are cool. We haven't abandoned you, Amuro. You're like an Esper or something. And he's like, I want to fuck that lady. And now Amuro feels...
It was his first experience with a woman or something.
Oh, it's the first time he experienced the scent of a woman.
That's what it was, yeah.
Is what the dialogue said. It does show Char disconnecting the plug. Okay, yeah. Char literally did do it. Last essay says, I think it's more because he was told that he could be as good as Char that he got baited into piloting. Could be. I mean, I think he doesn't...
Wait, Amuro?
Yeah.
Amuro piloted the Gundam because he was in the Gundam.
Well, no. They mean in this episode that he.
Well, yeah,
That
Bright
Bright-
Noah says something to the effect of, I thought you could have been better than Char or whatever,
Yeah.
but that has no... I don't think that has any bearing on Amuro's abilities. It has bearing on how good the Gundam is.
No. The point they're making is that that Amuro got in the Gundam because he said that, not because Frau Bo said, "You're not a man and I'm gonna pilot it," or whatever.
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I'm sure it's both. Anyway, it's time to talk about Steins Gate.
Wow, this is the first episode of Steins Gate where, like, I feel like stuff is happening, and I don't think anything is happening.
This is the episode where, like, you cross a threshold of, like, things are now not predictable.
Yeah,
like,
it's really... I'll get there. Sorry, the last thing that happens in this episode, I couldn't tell that something had happened, because it just seemed like a regular place to me.
So yeah, it's important to note. This episode was the first one that had like a huge impact on me when I was first watching the show because of the fact that I understood what the twist at the end is, and I'm going to explain it because I had to for Bird to really get it. Akihabara is considered to be like...
It's where Mahou Shoujo Magical Destroyers takes place.
Yes, it is considered to be basically the mecca for anime culture in Tokyo. It's... Back in the 90s, Akihabara was just the electronics district. It was the place to go to buy, like, a dryer or a fan or, like, you know, a household appliance.
Can you still buy those things in Akihabara?
Probably.
But it will be like Evangelion themed.
Probably also, yes. But yeah, like it was just a place to buy electronics, and then because of the fact, I assume because anime fans tend to like electronics a whole lot, it just kind of transmogrified throughout the early 2000s into an anime district, and in particular when they opened up doujin stores, such as Tora no Ana. Tora no Ana, or the Tiger Hole, is
Ellen
like...
said, "Quick, someone send a D-mail to prevent Otaku Hero's death."
Tora no Ana is like multi-location, one of the bigger like doujin stores that's well known, and there is one in Akihabara. So like in this episode, I mean, the whole reason that the show takes place in Akihabara is because of this. It's why they have an office there. They're always going to the maid cafes. Like, the main character are otaku. That's why they're hanging out in this section of town. And in this episode, we learn that the entire reason that anime culture exists in Akihabara is that this girl, Akiha, who is the daughter of the guy that owns all of the land.
Her name is Ferris. Meow meow. Thank you.
She's the daughter of the guy who owns all of the land in the area, and she personally brought moe culture to Akihabara at some indeterminate time ago, according to this show's lore.
And just to be clear, moe culture means otaku culture. It doesn't just mean cute in this specific scenario.
Sort of, yeah. You know, the whole culture of like maid cafes and everything is all included in moe culture.
Well, I'm saying, like, at the end of the episode when the change happens, like, not even anime has reached Akihabara. So, she says she introduced moe culture, but, you know...
Well, the kind of anime that is promoted in Akihabara is moe anime. It's, like, all ReZero.
Do I look like someone who's been to Japan?
No.
Okay.
It is known for, like, appealing to the hardcore otaku. Now, granted, and, I have a video somewhere on the old channel called Flanderizing Akihabara that's about, like, how...
Like Ned Flanders?
I think... Well, is that where the term Flanderization comes from? Is, like, when a character becomes, like, a parody of themselves, basically?
Yeah, I would think so.
So, yeah, in Akihabara... you know, its reputation for being otaku mecca quickly got out of hand, and so it became that eventually it's like an overpriced tourist destination for otaku. But like at this point, if you really were a hardcore anime fan, like looking for, you know, goods and stuff, like you would know that there are cheaper and easier places to get that stuff than Akihabara. Like it is now at this point the tourist bastardization of being the anime spot, basically. But Steins Gate is like kind of before that, like right around the time that it's becoming that, like the most extreme. So, I would say that this is like, this show really takes place at an interesting cultural moment, just because, like, if you were to compare this to, again, like Magical Destroyers, where that show's portraying it like it's a post-apocalypse and like otaku culture is something that happened 5-10 years ago, Steins Gate is 5-10 years ago. So, like, it's an interesting progression to see.
But so basically, this episode starts off with Ferris overhearing that Ocarine say something time machine, and Ferris goes, time machine? And then he goes, there's not a time machine, and then she seduces him into telling...
Well, she seduces Daru into telling her.
Whatever. There's some seduction going on. That's my...
This scene actually is intriguing and kind of out of nowhere because we don't know what it's about. Kurisu's like on the phone.
I'm sorry, who?
Kurisatina is on the phone with somebody. It leads her to crying.
But she's on the roof. She's on the roof.
Yeah, that's initially she's important. On the roof. And then she comes inside because Ocarine came out there and she was crying. And then he's like, hey,
I do think it's really cute that the only reason Ocarine came out to the roof was to hang up his laundry.
Basically, he just says to her, like, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm there. And she's like, wow, that's so nice of you. We don't really learn why she's upset, what the call is about. I assume it's like her dad or something. And we also have this interesting line from Mayushi. They translated it as, I feel like Ocarine is leaving me, but the Japanese phrase she used basically means, like, it feels like he's going somewhere far away. And it's important to note that because, like, this is where I think the psychological effect of traveling through dimensions is starting to take its toll on Okabe, and, like, Mayushi can tell maybe better than he can. But, like, we have already crossed timelines enough that it's no longer easy to predict what has changed, where we are, like... what, like, basically, okay, as I guess we'll go a little further into the episode before I say this, but, they're trying to figure out how the phone microwave works. They're theorizing that it's based on the same black hole technology that they're trying to do up at CERN, but, they still don't really understand why it's only sometimes possible. But, basically, while they're out and about, they see Moeka, and... Ocarine goes running after her to be like, hey. Oh, right. I forgot to mention, they don't have the IBN. That's what's going on in the screen cap. He's realizing, oh, fuck. We don't have the IBN. Apparently, I've never found it. Which is confusing, because how did he even get to the point of doing the experiments without having the IBN 5100? And then he chases down Moeka. She recognizes him, hasn't found it either. But also importantly, Mayushi recognizes her, and he's like, wait, if you know about her, then that means that I'm no longer in a universe where you guys don't know her. So somehow Moeka had changed him to a timeline where they don't know who she is, but then whatever they sent back to Rukako... whatever they sent to Rukako's mom, I guess, changed history in a way that now they do know who she is again, but they don't have the IBN 5100. So what is different about this timeline? I have no fucking idea. You really can't tell. And I feel like the show, it puts you into this position of, like, starting to be like, I'm not sure I can keep track of what's going on, right before it changes things so much that it makes, like, a clear statement of, like, there's no going back. Like, we are in a different world. You are in an unpredictable timeline at this point. And it's all because of Ferris, inviting them over, convincing them to do a D-mail. I love this scene where Ocarine is calling Christina and trying
over and over again, trying to get her to speak to him instead of just hanging up on him, but he keeps saying creepy things, and so she hangs up on him. It's very fun.
She keeps hanging up until he has to, like, very politely and normally ask her to do the thing. It's cute. But yeah.
Hey, anyone who cares, spoiler alert. I'm about to ask a spoilery question. So, spoiler alert. Is Christina Okarin's love interest? Is that what I'm supposed to gather? I know like this is a visual novel and it's kind of everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
But in the show, Christina's the one he's like after, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider that a spoiler. I think that's
Look, people are fucking weird about spoilers. I'm sorry.
They're pretty clearly OTP, I think. So basically, Ferris Nyan Nyan insists on sending a message back in time, but she won't say what it is. She sends the message, and then suddenly her dad is in the room with them. And like everyone's acting like it's normal, like this is just where they were, and so Ocarine just kind of goes along with it because he can't tell like why are things different or what's going on. They leave the room, they're heading out, and Mayushi says like, "Oh, I'm gonna go pick up some like cosplay materials over in this other town," and he's like, "Why would you have to go all the way over there just to?" And then he looks around and there's nothing but appliances and fans, and there's no fucking otaku shit in Akihabara anymore. Oh my god, Ferris must have told herself not to bring moe culture back to Akihabara. Why? I have to assume it has something to do with her dad, who had not been there before and then suddenly was. Yeah, this was, I remember the moment where I was like, oh my god, they killed otaku culture. Like the show murdered Akihabara. This can only go into a dark place from here forward, and such it shall. But yeah, I basically think the point of this episode is just to like sever us from a sense of like our current reality. Like we're in the thick of it now. Times, they are a change in by way of the butterfly effect from the past. And it's unpredictable where this will lead.
Oh my god. Can you imagine how many people in Japan would be happy if Akihabara wasn't what it was?
Probably a few, yeah. Yeah, it's
Utena.
time for Revolutionary Girl Utena.
I was shocked at how serious this episode was, considering the last one.
Yeah, the last one was
this
goofy
episode
nonsense.
felt like plot, actually.
It did, and it's also it's a very vague episode in terms of like
what exactly is happening.
Yeah, what literally happened at the end of the episode in the plot. But it's mostly to establish the relationship between Toga and Saionji, and
which could have been established at any point up until now in more subtle ways without devoting an episode to it, I think. But it's also a long show, so I get devoting an episode to it.
I feel like these two, they never really said that they were like friends or anything up until this point, I don't think. But this episode dives into their backstory, and we realize like they've known each other since they were children, and basically Toga has just always been an incredible badass, and Saionji has been living in his shadow, trying to be as cool as him, trying to achieve this like hyper masculinity that he thinks Toga has. And also, he's really determined that he needs to get Anthe back because he believes that Anthe is seeking something eternal. Apparently, she told him this. I would love to know the exact context, exactly what she said to him, because this seems like the kind of thing Saionji would be, like, have read a lot into something that she said that maybe didn't really mean that much. But, yeah, he's determined that she wants something eternal. And he is searching for something eternal for reasons he's going to get into when we learn this backstory. Apparently, when they were kids, Toga and Saionji were riding like tandem bike past this church, and like there was a funeral going on, and they heard that the little girl whose parents had died had run off, and they were worried that she'd been kidnapped or something. But then they end up going into the church, realizing that there are 3 coffins. Toga opens up the 3rd coffin, revealing that Utena is inside. Hey, we know this story. Utena, when her parents died and she was bared up in such sorrow and...
But oh my god, it turns out that Toga and Saionji were there too.
And so yeah, this
Which makes sense, right? Because like they have to have all grown up in the same area. They have to
Right.
be in the similar social circles. Utena was probably going to be on the student council anyway, even if her parents didn't die. So
that's a good way of putting it. I hadn't thought about that. She probably was just somebody who would have gone to the school regardless. By the way, I love the outfits of young Toga and Saionji. I love that they're like in tights and short shorts. And
it's weird that Saionji's not a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he was just like a little fraidy boy.
Yeah, so like, is that why he's an asshole? Because it's easier to be mean than it is to be scared, or did something happen?
I definitely think that he's projecting like this. Yeah, I think it's mostly his inferiority complex about Toga. Just like he feels like he's a weak little bitch, and Toga's this cool badass. And as of this moment in their history, he's been trying to be more like Toga, but he doesn't understand. Like, he really doesn't understand the way Toga thinks, because he thinks Toga is, like, this cool, chivalrous, masculine dude, and really Toga's just kind of putting on... He's really just kind of a calculating sociopath who wants to have as many women as possible, I think, and that's about it. A feminist, as he calls himself later in this episode. Toga is literally like the dangers of male feminism, like the character. Like he's the worst possible male feminist. Anyway, they find Utena in this coffin, and they're asking her like, "What's wrong?" And she's just doom posting. She like goes on a whole emo like rant about how nothing matters, and
so it doesn't matter if nothing matters. And while you be true, and if you won't, fuck you. And sorry, that's Watsky. I'll stop.
She's like, there's nothing eternal in this world. If you could show me something eternal, I would come out of this coffin. And
basically, Toga says, fuck you," and goes away. And
well, that's the thing, right? So here's where the unclearness happens between the characters. What seems to have happened, based on what we see, is she said, "Show me something eternal." Toga and Saionji left, and then question mark, somewhere along the line, Prince showed up.
No. So hang on. Toga says to Saionji something to the effect of, "Well, you better show her something eternal." Like, that exists.
Yeah, like, well, for some reason, Saionji's under the impression that Toga did show Utena something eternal. Saionji
because the next day they see her, she's fine.
Right. They see her eventually. So basically, Saionji convinces himself that Toga went back, showed Utena something eternal. Now, granted, neither of them realizes this is Utena. Like, still to this day, they don't seem to like appreciate that it's the same.
Which is a little weird, because how many pink-haired
girls are out there? Yeah. Yeah, like, basically, Saionji is under the impression Toga showed her something eternal, so now he is in search of something eternal because he wants to be able to have whatever Toga had that got that girl out of that coffin. But the reality is most likely that Toga did not show Utena something eternal. Some other person showed up after them and, was the prince. But does Utena even realize this? If she remembers that any of this happens, will she get her, wires crossed and think that Toga was the prince? Because Toga is determined to make her think that. He wants to convince her that he is totally, at the very least, the archetype of the prince who helped her and would be a guy who, she'd be in love with. So Saionji basically... He finds out that apparently the castle that's at the dueling arena is going to come down tonight. And he thinks that this means it's time for him to receive power. And so he's forcing Anthe to come with him. And she's like, this is against the rules. Like, you are not allowed to open these gates without a scheduled duel. I'm not supposed to be with somebody I'm not, engaged to. This is all fucked up. Saionji's like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. He smacks her. Apparently, him trying to open the door to the arena ends up with him, dead in a pool of water. So
he's not dead.
He would have failed this, but Utena shows up, pulls him out of the water, She ends up going up into the place, and Saionji just kind of follows.
They go together.
And then it's like the arena. Basically, they get up there, and it turns out that Anthe is like inside of a coffin in a giant rose, and the arena starts sprouting all these platforms. And the platforms all raise up under Utena, but not under Saionji. The castle is falling from the sky.
Well, no. They don't raise up under Utena. A bunch of them raise up, and then one of them raises up under Utena.
How is that different from what I said?
Well, because, like, if Utena was moving around, they could be, like, raising up under her.
I
like
see
you
what
were describing.
I mean, I just thought the picture was self-explanatory, but...
but then you explained it.
She's on these... The platforms come up under her, not under Saionji. The castle is falling from the sky. The pillars start to crumble out from underneath her. So basically everything is implying that she needs to do like a little platforming game and get to that flower. Saionji doesn't seem to perceive this at all. He's just overwhelmed with what's happening and like...
Well, because he got a message from the end of the world saying that the castle was going to come down.
And the castle is coming down. So he thinks the castle coming down is coming down to like give him power, but it just kind of falls on him.
Which is based.
Utena does her little platformy game and saves Anthe from the big flower. I assume this was just some sort of test. Maybe this is just what happens if you try to go in there when you're not supposed to. I'm not really sure, because it turns out that Toga was the one who sent the letter to Saionji telling him that the castle would come down tonight. So either Toga knew that this thing was going to happen that was important for Utena to be there for, or he just...
Did you know that Elon Musk has had 2 more children with Grimes?
No. What do you mean? Like, since they broke up?
The newest one is named Technomechanicus.
Are they together again?
It was announced.
Why are we talking about Elon
because
Musk and
I
Grimes?
just look. I thought they were broken up.
I can't. Revolutionary Girl Utsuda.
Technomechanicus.
That's a hell of the real name, real child name.
Yes, real child name.
Technomechanicus. Awful.
Better than the first one.
Amy says, if someone tries to access the platform without a duel, I think the place just kidnaps the Rose Bride and tries to preserve her. That's what it seems like also, yeah. Like, maybe Toga just wanted to trick Saionji into seeing what happens if you activate this whole thing. It's really hard to say.
Exomechanicus. I know that's not the name, but Exomechanicus would be like a really good name alternatively for Gundam. Because,
like
Exo and
machine. Saionji tries to murder Utena because he's just...
Is that what he's doing?
Losing his mind. Yeah, he just picks up
a
sword.
Saionji... Sorry, names. The names in this show kind of fuck with me a little bit. But yeah, Saionji does try to murder Utena, and then Toga saves her and goes, I'm just like your prince.
Yes. He jumps in front of the blade. So he's like,
Actually, I just remembered. I went to a fighting game club last week, and Utena came up, and I was like, oh, who were your favorite characters in Utena? And this one guy, I don't remember the name of the person he says, but he named Anthe's brother. I was like, oh, I don't know who that is.
He'll be much later in the show.
Wait, much later? I thought we were about to get to that. Fuck.
No. So yeah, Toga gets slashed, and...
But not really. Like, it's just his clothes that get slashed. He's
Seems
fine.
like it, yeah.
And then it cuts to...
He's like, I'm a feminist. And yeah...
I did see last SS said that it translated to, like, chivalrous in his dub, and I think that makes more sense.
You mean Evil Rhoda said that?
Look, I just read... there are a lot of names. I read something. I'm sorry. But then it cuts to Toga, like, on the phone or something, going, yeah, it went exactly how you thought it would go. It's, I have a flair for the dramatic, so of course I got slashed, but... Yeah.
Well, this is Toga in bed with 3 other women, all fucking grouped up on him while he's on the phone. And yeah, so the reason...
Toga's the best.
The reason he calls himself a feminist is that he is obsessed with women and trying to surround himself with women in a sexual context. like I said, he's the worst brand of male feminist, the predacious type. Everything he's doing is obviously a lie. He's pretending to be chivalrous and cool, but it's all just like his own machinations to try and manipulate Utena into falling in love with him. So yeah, real asshole. All right. It's time for the other revolutionary girl, Utena, that we did not talk about in the last episode because we watched the wrong episode. What are you showing me?
Something I just need you to nod yes or no to.
Sure.
Cool.
Are you ready to talk about The Witch from Mercury?
This is the right episode, yeah? That is the episode we're
doing
supposed
both
to be
of them.
covering?
We're covering both.
Okay.
Episodes 7 and 8.
So I had seen a lot of people say that episode 7 wasn't that good.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. I thought it was cute. I liked the concepts they were playing with. So basically, episode 7 is, it's like a big gala, but it's not a regular gala. It's everyone in the Benneret group getting together and pitching new companies. And basically, they explain to say, almost no one ever gets these companies funded, so it's purely a social event. It's just so you can go hang out with a bunch of other people in the same business group as you.
Oh, so it's pointless. I love pointless things in my plot.
But from a capitalist perspective, this is very normal.
Sure.
This is very normal. Let's have a party for no fucking reason, but we'll have a nebulous, auspicious reason that we are having this party, so we are allowed to spend the money for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we see a bunch of different companies fail to get funded, and, Miorine is explaining all of this to Suletta.
This is mainly an excuse to get to see these two in their cute dresses. I think I actually... There's some people who have said that the show has less Yuri than they expected based on, what they had heard about it.
Okay.
I would say based on episodes 7 and 8, it has exactly as much Yuri as I expected. Like, these two girls... I mean, aside from the fact that literally they're like engaged
but it's not
reasons.
gay. There's no gay stuff going on here. According to the studio, this is not a homosexual relationship. It's just totally they're platonic and friendly. You know, they might refer to each other as brides and talk about getting married all the time, but it's not like that. I promise. It's really not like that. You know, look, we're really conservative. It's not like that.
I think Miorine definitively acts like she is in a relationship with Suletta.
Yeah, duh.
Like pretty much at all times.
Sorry, I was doing a bit just now.
I just think it's like that she's like it's taken for granted, kind of like.
Well, Suletta doesn't understand things. Like,
Sure.
Suletta doesn't understand human interaction. She's from Mercury. She's pretty much only talked to her mom at this point.
I just think like the show really skipped over any feeling of like dating or courtship and just went straight into like, okay, they're just married. Like,
Yeah, it's Utena. It's Revolutionary Girl Utena. This show is just Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Utena has a lot more of like, Utena doesn't want the Rose Bride, so there's a lot more resistance.
I think that's the difference. Utena understands what is going on. Suletta does not. But her mom does, and that's pretty much all that matters.
Kind of, yeah. What are they even talking about? Who are they damning for leaving a mess like this behind?
Who fucking cares?
Yeah, most of this stuff doesn't really matter that much. Suletta's mom meets Miorine and is kind of vaguely threatening. She's like, you know, if you really want to do this, you gotta throw away your pride and be a...
You gotta stop being the daughter of the president of the Benneret group. And, hey, also, did I mention...
Basically, she just says check
Did
your
I
privilege.
mention that your dad killed all of my friends 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Because that happened, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But then Miorine wins her over somehow.
So
we get introduced to the new Ellen, which I assume is Enhanced Person number 5, because the last one was Enhanced Person number 4.
So, like... We accidentally skipped this episode initially. We watched the one after this, and I, at the time, had thought it was strange how it seemed like this guy didn't come up again at all. because he died at the end of the last episode, and Suleta was pretty much in love with him by all, like, but the show pretty much had portrayed her as obsessed with this dude. So I did think it was a little weird that he didn't seemingly come up in the next episode at all. But the way he comes up in the next episode at all, now that I've seen it, also didn't feel very, like, basically, like, towards the start, Suleta's kind of like, yeah, I've noticed he hasn't been around lately. What's up with that? Where's that guy that I'm interested in? And then he's, like, just at the party. It's the new clone.
Well, that's the only
like,
reason she agrees to go to the party.
Yeah.
Is because he has to be there.
And so he just kind of gives her very simple explanation. I'm in a place where there's difficult communications. I'm sorry. It's like being way more personable than he ever had been. And then, like, the two of them are being shown off as, like, they're the pilots. Like, they're the cool pilots who are going to lead everything into the future. And then the second that the tone shifts to, like, now they're accusing Suleta of having a Gundam, that guy stops mattering entirely. That guy does nothing else in the rest of the episode, isn't mentioned in the next episode. Like, it feels to me, having seen episode 8 already, like, the way they brought this guy back was just to reassure you that there didn't need to be, like, any sentimentality or crying over him or whatever. Like,
No. I mean, yes, that is the point, but I don't think it's unfounded. Like, the version of Ellen we will almost always see is not Ellen, because Ellen is being trained to be the CEO of Pale.
right.
And so I'm not trying to defend it, I should say. I don't particularly enjoy it as a story point, but it makes sense. Like, it's just a bunch of enhanced people that we're not really supposed to care about.
It's just like, Suleta was obsessed with this dude up until literally, like, this scene where she meets him again. She gets a convenient explanation of, like, okay, here's why I couldn't talk to you for a while. And then, like, I don't know, she's just kind of removed from the situation of caring about him anymore because all this stuff happens, and now this is what the show's about. That guy, fuck that guy. Forget about that guy. You already know he's a clone. Fuck that guy. The Suleta no, but she has other things to worry about. Let's worry about those other things, which is, like, they're up on the platform, but then there's, like, a sub-platform inside of the platform that goes, like,
Pale Technologies summons Ellen and Suleta at the same time, and then they start singling out Suleta to say, Ariel's a Gundam, because Ferrict was a Gundam.
The way this is presented, it's literally like this big platform comes up under her. She should have fallen off and died, but...
And then 4 other platforms with the old women.
But then one of them's on a screen also... Or maybe they're just changing which one's represented on screen, but they're actually just standing around her. But, like, all the lights turn red, and, like, just the presentation of the scene was the goofiest fucking shit. I was like, what in the fuck? Like, are you telling me they designed the stage for this? Like, to do this? Like, they got her in position like fucking Carrie and, like, dumped the pig's blood in the form of your Gundam's a Gundam.
It was smart.
All of this is just to reveal that it's a Gundam.
And Suleta does not know or think that it is.
No.
Is the problem. And the mom is just, like, having a conversation in the hall. So Suleta's just, like, struggling, like, hey, where's my mom? My mom can explain this. Where's my mom? And Miorine comes up and basically goes, fuck all that. It's obviously a Gundam. I'm going to start a company about Gundams.
Yeah, I'll just make a Gundam company.
No one wants to invest in her company because, again, this event is purely so you can pitch a new company to get it to get funded and started. And so Miorine, like, takes the reins and goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. This might be a Gundam, but you know what? I'm just going to start a new company where we build Gundams, and it'll be fine. It sucks, Gundams are technically not allowed, but, we're going to do it right, and no one invests in her, and then she goes up to her dad, who, keep in mind, is the person who initially eliminated Gundams, and says, I just need you to invest a little bit to show your sign of faith as president of the Bennett Group. And he does, and then their company gets funded.
So yeah, she establishes this company in front of everybody. Whatever, cool. Can't get any funding because Gundams are literally forbidden technology. Her dad is the one who made them forbidden technology.
And killed everyone
researching them. And then she goes up to her dad and is just like, hey, I know you just said that you don't believe in me or whatever, but how about you believe in me?
Pony up, old man.
And he's like, you know what?
I'll give you 0.03% of what you need.
He says to her, the curse of the Gundam is heavier than you think. And it's like, so, I don't know, is he just trying to teach her a lesson? Does he just think, oh, you're going to play with fire, you're going to get burned, fuck you? Or does he actually believe in her? Whatever, he co-signs and then literally everybody else does. They're like, oh, well, if he's in, we're all in. So now your company's founded and now you've got Gundams.
Soletta's mom thanks Miorine for saving Soletta and
tells Soletta, yeah, that's a Gundam. Of course it's a Gundam.
What are you talking
fucking
about?
Stupid? Yeah, it's a Gundam. Idiot. Fucking moron. So all right.
So here's the
one we watched last week.
Yeah, the one we watched last week. I'm gonna try and remember what's going on here, but basically, Miorine bops into everyone arguing about, hey, aren't we gonna get paid? Isn't this what's going on here? How does that Spatian just get to come in and announce that we're the fucking Gundam company now?
It's so funny to me how okay I had been with this episode just starting off with her walking in and going, I started a Gundam company, and I was like, all right, the show is finally moving. Like, I was so excited when we got to this episode the first time because it just felt like everything that happened before doesn't matter anymore, and now the show is starting. And episode 7 is a natural kind of transition between those two states, but it wasn't that necessary.
It didn't matter that much.
It
They honestly could have done just like a 5-minute flashback in this episode this was episode 7, explaining that, and then cut to this, and I would have been like, okay, cool, I get it, whatever.
Ellen asks, why are they covered in paint at the start of this episode? Did they ever explain that?
Because they're repainting the Gundam, I would assume, to be Gundam colors.
Something like that. So this episode, again,
if you think about it, a Gundam is just basically the all-new Toyota Tundra. I'm not going to elaborate. I'm just going to say the all-new Toyota Tundra is as durable and as reliable as any Gundam out there on the market. You should invest in a brand new Toyota Tundra if you're interested in that kind of thing. That's all I'm saying. You know? Maybe invest in me getting an all-new Toyota Tundra. I'd like a Gundam. I-Force Max. Full-on hybrid. I may or may not be wearing a shirt that says the all-new Toyota Tundra on it.
It just says the all-new Tundra.
Well, it says Toyota on it, doesn't it?
It does on the picture.
Yeah. So, you know what? Invest in an all-new Toyota Tundra. Why not? They just released the 2024 model specs. You can go onto their website and you can see the all-new 2024 Toyota Tundra markups, you know? The new model. I mean, compared to last year's, it looks pretty clean. And last year's looked pretty clean, but it looks even cleaner now. I can't wait till they release the 2024 Toyota Tacoma specs. Not to mention the 2024 Toyota Stout. I can't wait to see the 2025 Toyota Stout, because that's going to be the real, like, small truck killer. We're finally going to get Toyota small trucks back in the United States. It's been 20, 30 years since we, like, really had the small trucks. The chicken tax is the silliest thing that I've ever heard of. Why? Because American manufacturers can't make small trucks? American manufacturers could have always made small trucks.
I really wish we had a sponsor, y'all. If we had a Toyota sponsor, we would have mentioned it at the top of the show, probably.
I'm just sharing the love I have for Toyota as a company. I don't know why you're having to bring all this sponsorship crap into it. If they want to give us money, they can. But I'm just a big fan of Toyota as a company. What is going on right now? I don't understand any of these words. Try going to a fighting game club.
Bird went to a fighting game club and couldn't understand anything anyone was saying. All right. Wow. That was a lot of Toyotas in my ear. Gundam Incorporated. They're going to do it. Yeah, I was excited about this episode. I feel like this should have happened like way earlier. I appreciate that like they needed some time to establish the setting and all the characters and stuff. Uh, Especially after seeing episode 7, that didn't need to exist at all. So this could have at least been one episode earlier, if not taken place before that entire last arc with the guy who I didn't care about. Um, you know, just it never felt to me like this show was going anywhere until this episode. It just seemed like, there's people fighting these duels. I don't really know why or care. I don't really know what anyone's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, there's a lot of people fighting duels saying things like, oh, the V8 was so much better than the V6 hybrid, and it doesn't make any sense. They switched it to a V6.
Enough. They're finally
and then there's the
doing
people
something.
who are like, oh my god, you went from a full-on V6 to a turbocharged hybrid
All right,
V4.
can you talk about this? We're like close to being done here. I just want to finish the anime.
Sure, and then there's people who are like, oh, the Prius doesn't mean anything, and it's a 4-cylinder with a hybrid. You can't do anything with that little car. I'll tell you, I can do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so basically, it's safe to have Gundams by their side. Who is she talking about? Whose side?
I don't.
Is she saying she needs to convince people that it's safe to have Gundams by their side? Because that's the big crux of this episode, is basically the mother going, you have two routes you can take with this new Gundam company. You can either make Gundams and sell Gundams to whoever. You have to be very indiscriminate with that because Gundams are banned. Or you can expand on the Gundam medical technology.
Yeah.
Anyway. Or you could invest in a brand new 2024 Toyota Tacoma.
God, we're never going to finish this episode.
Could you please explain Haruhi Suzumiya to me?
Bird's completely lost it.
Hey, this happened last week, too. Much later in the episode, though, I'll say. I've held out on the losing it for quite a bit today.
Someone just asked, Bird, are you high?
Bird, am I high? I'm about to be. I'm very drunk, I'll tell you that.
Oh, God. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I had two... Oh, I haven't finished this. So I've had 1.5 tank 7s. I've had 2 unfiltered wheats.
Okay.
Oh, I just remembered. I have a mixed drink in the fridge.
We are still doing a podcast. So, anyway, they start up this company. They're
so the
making
mixed drink I have in the
Gundams.
fridge was a Fling Craft cocktail, also by Boulevard Brewing Company.
This guy
it's
will
a
do
vodka
whatever
lemonade.
it takes. That means he'll suck dick for money.
His name is Shattuck Zanelli. Thank you very much.
It's very obvious she's trying to say that he'll just fuck.
Yeah, he is very horny, we learn.
Oh yeah, this man now lives in the woods.
Gwell is goals. I'm basically just Gwell. I wanna do this. I would do this.
Sit there with a coffee in the woods, being sweaty.
That's soup.
Yeah. Shaddix is like trying to be.
No,
like
his name is Shattuck. It's not an
Shattuck.
X. It's a Q.
He's like, I'll totally help you with this Gundam plan, girl. Like, I got you.
Well, he also tells
I got your
Gwell.
back.
He also tells Gwell that Gwell can come just stay in his house at any time, so that he doesn't have to be out on his
Yeah,
own.
he's just trying to make moves. He's trying to get allies. He's trying to get everybody on his side. There's a lot of time spent with the like Earthian people who are going to be the crew of Gundam, figuring out what does Gundam do, what are we about, what do we symbolize, what do we need to do in order to start up a company. It kind of reminded me of watching Keep Your Hands Off the Azoken again, and I was having a nice time because I like when a show is just about a bunch of characters trying to figure out how to make something. Then they're really unclear about like what they're going to do with the Gundams until Miorine finds the old tapes that are, well, I mean, she's given, Suleta's mom literally just gives her all data ever on the Gundam. She's just like, here you go, here's all of our shit. Yeah, if you can figure out what to do with this, great. And she finds the video of, the old woman who ran the whole thing being like, yeah, we're doing this for medical reasons. And she's like, all right, we're going to do that. We're going to
make medical technology
Gundams.
because we can't build Gundams. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, well, using them for war is just going to be like shit. So let's fucking make them cool and helpful. Then they produced the worst promotional video of all time.
What do you mean this is the best? This is the cutest thing ever. It's Suletta and the Gundam doing a little dance, and I don't even know how they coordinated it.
I guess
adorable.
they probably did this because in the last episode, Suletta announced in front of everybody that the Gundam was like her family. So, you know,
I wonder
here
what
she
that
is being
means.
cute
I'm
with
sure
her
that won't
family.
have any overarching implications on the rest of the series.
Here's all the stuff they had to do. They prepared disclosure documents for investors. They applied for registration of income to the group student business startup program. They had articles of incorporation. Listen to all these fucking business words.
Actually, the articles of incorporation are the only thing I was aware of because I had to start a club or two in high school. And starting clubs is basically just like, hey, here's how you kind of start a business. You have to talk to an overarching body that doesn't respect you or care about you and prove to them that you have any amount of worth. And so the articles of incorporation are basically you just saying, hey, I have worth. I'm going to do a thing. And you should respect me. And so I get it, you know, you got to explain what your company's going to do before you do it. Oh, damn. Brian C., hello. Sorry, man. We're reaching the end. Whew.
This girl's kind of
She's
cute.
very cute. I like this character a lot because this character seems to be the one who gets shit done.
Yeah. Well, that's...
Actually, I'll say all the Earthians in this show, probably my favorite characters.
The establishment of a company made me feel like things are happening, so I like this episode, and I hope the show... Just look at it. Just look at the screen cap.
Oh my god, this episode of Mushoku Tensei completely blew my mind. I can't even believe how much the story changed and went out of nowhere to surprise me in what I thought was going to happen. Everyone who said anything like that about Mushoku Tensei, I don't want you watching my show. I completely disrespect you on the face of liking Mushoku Tensei and thinking that this second season has any legs whatsoever.
People have
And I will say, this is the first episode of Mushoku Tensei, and I played this up a little bit, that did something that I thought was kind of unique and interesting, but it's still a fucking dog shit show, and I hate you for liking it.
Damn.
And especially defending it in my comments or my Discord like you have anything to say of note or meaning at all. This show is not taking an interesting turn. It's taking the exact turn I thought it was going to take before I spoiled it for myself. You all suck and are not interested in good anime. And I don't think most anime is good. If you feel like this is a personal attack to you, I'm sorry.
What?
It is. I just want you to know that if you like and defend Mushoku Tensei in any way past, well, it's not a very good show, it's kind of my guilty pleasure show, it's all right, but, I'm not going to defend it or anything, I hate you.
God damn.
I accept, it's my guilty pleasure show, it's kind of cute and fun sometimes, because it is kind of cute and fun sometimes. There is some stuff in this show that I don't mind. But anyone who comes to me, and specifically my channel, that says something to the effect of, you just don't understand it, man. You don't get this show. You oh man, it's totally gonna blindside you on the other end of it. No, it's not. It's just not.
It's just not good.
It's not good. It's not interesting. It's not going to take a route that I think is going to be completely mind-blowing.
No.
You need to consume more media or go outside more if you think that anything that's happening in Mushoku Tensei is mind-blowing. Anyway, that's the end of my bit for this week on Mushoku Tensei, so go ahead.
It's really bad. People have asked why we're still going to cover this show.
Because it's really fun to talk shit about.
I think there needs to be an antithesis with a show like this, Like, you have to know what we don't like, what we anti-stand for, in the same respect of like, here's what I like out of anime, here's what I want to see, here's what I don't like, here's what I don't want to see, you know. I think it helps to have something that, especially like this, that is so thoroughly antithetical to what I want out of anime, where it's like it's somehow doing all the bad things.
To the
like,
people who are fans of Mushoku Tensei in the chat, you're both doing a great job. You have not said anything that has made me upset in your liking of Mushoku Tensei. You're doing a good job. You're not trying to convince me to feel differently about this dog shit show that you both like.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm okay with liking bad things. I should make that very clear across the board. I'm just going to say how bad I think those things are. And if that bothers you, that bothers you. That's fine. I really like Black Butler. That's not a good show. Very much not a good show. And I will accept that. But I'm not going to sit here and type 18 paragraphs about how you're actually wrong about Black Butler, because you see what Sebastian is such a complex, meaningful character that he's just doing so good, even though he's a demon, and it's not really about his redemption or anything like that. It's just about I'm not going to do all that with Black Butler because I don't care. It's a fantasy show where stuff looks cool occasionally, and that's a context in which I'm okay liking Mushoku Tensei. That's kind of what I realized with this episode, and why I've been doing the bit of like, oh my god, I can't believe what happened. This was not the worst episode that we've seen this season. I think it might have even been the best, because it introduced what the hell is happening, a direction for the story to go in.
A thing happened. It actually infuriated me where the episode ends, because it like reveals some important information, but then doesn't
do anything with
up.
it.
There's no setup for what's coming next, so it just feels like, well, okay, I guess we resolved this arc. What? Are we going somewhere now? Like, what's next? I have no idea.
I think this is something I had criticized Mahou Shoujo Magical Destroyers for, which is like, okay, so this episode is going to be explaining something. Yeah. The next episode is going to be acting on that information, and then the episode after that is going to be closing up on that information. Right. And, for a 12-episode show, you can't fit whole arcs in, so fine. It's called Slice of Life.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, the only slice of life. Actually, there are two.
This is a slice of the worst life you could possibly want to be in. Like, why would I want to be?
Like the worst part of Sword Art Online was anytime they decided to get into slice of life.
No, I disagree. That was my favorite part of Sword Art Online.
No.
Even compared to this show.
I would much prefer these stupid fantasy arcs than, oh, well, aren't we married? Aren't we married in a video game world? And isn't that so sweet and cool? Oh my god, wow, we're still trapped in a death game that's going to kill us at some point, but aren't we married?
I didn't mind that arc. This stuff is just so boring. Like, why would you want to be... What?
I'm not saying SAO did it badly. I'm just saying it was very out of place for being trapped in a death game. In the same way that, I get it, you live in life here in Mushoku Tensei.
This episode...
But, like, the character this episode introduces... Well, we should get 2 screenshots into this before I just start talking about the episode. Even though I've been ranting about the show as a whole.
Well... This episode starts off with them just, like... pointing out to Sylphie how she's
saying the thing I've been saying the whole fucking time, which is, hey, Sylphie, can you fucking tell Rudius you're Sylphie, please? We're all really tired of it.
Yeah, this has gone on too long.
But Sylphie's afraid that Rudius isn't going to remember her?
I was pretty sure that, like, 2 fucking episodes ago, they met up in the hallway, and Rudius said... Like, I got teleported away, and I've spent all this time trying to find my family and friends from back home. And Sylphie is apparently worried that he doesn't remember her. Like, that if she says, oh, I'm Sylphie, he won't remember who she is. I was pretty sure he, like, explicitly was like, I'm looking for Sylphie.
He didn't say Sylphie, but I'm looking for my childhood friend who blah, blah, blah.
What the fuck? Yeah, that's so annoying.
And then the princess and the other gray rat are basically like, you haven't told him yet? Well, do whatever you want. You can pretend to be Fitz, I guess, but maybe tell him.
Oh, man.
Oh, and then they're sitting together.
These two have been in this exact spot so many times that I would believe this was reused animation. It's been 3 or 4 episodes of, all right, now here's the part in the episode where Rudius sits with Fitz in this little nook of the library.
Yeah, Evil Rhoda, wouldn't it make sense that Sylphie didn't tell Rudius because she was under orders or something? But it doesn't matter at all because the prince doesn't care.
Like, oh yeah, you can definitely say something. Like, you could definitely do that. Like, if you want. Because
the whole monarchical structure they're following under doesn't matter. They're at a school in a different continent. So this gray rat, of course, is her bodyguard and is probably being paid, so gets to stay there. But Sylphie is there of her own choice. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't make irrational decisions, but god damn, it's been a month or 2, right?
They've been hanging out constantly. They're completely in love with each other, except that Rudius thinks Rudius is in love with something.
Rudius is in love with Fitz, regardless of it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a nightmare. And then this character just kind of.
I had forgotten who this character was. I had to look her up.
Up.
No, she's been in it before.
Yeah. Okay, that doesn't change the fact that she just kind of shows up.
So anyway, this character was with Orsted, the disciple of Dragon God, when he killed Rudius. And so Rudius sees her, immediately freaks out, and passes out.
Yeah, he has like a whole PTSD freak out. I really wonder, like, is the author of Mushoku Tensei somebody who is dealing with PTSD to such a degree that, like, things happen that send them, like recoiling into a state of shock on the ground. Like Rudius has a level of reaction to to triggers that is beyond anything I've ever had to a trigger I can think of. Just wondering if this is like normal in the author's world. But he freaks the fuck out because he sees this girl again.
If I remember correctly, the reason they are meeting is that she is learning how to teleport things, and that's the main thing he's studying because he's trying to figure out what caused the big transportation event. Spoiler alert, it was her. Not intentionally, but... Oh, man, we can't even... No, I can say everything, actually. They really did just go, okay, cool. Sorry. Because some of you guys are such fucking assholes about spoilers, I'm trying to be better about it, except for this show, honestly. But here's what's going on here. This girl is one of the people that Rudius saved when he died.
Yeah.
And a little bit after Rudius got reincarnated into this world... Let's say 5, 6, 7, or like 13 years, I think, is probably what it was, because that's how old Rudius was when the thing happened. This girl got transported into this fantasy world and caused the mass teleportation event that has been the crux of the story for a while.
Yeah, it seems like her getting sent here caused that to happen. Why did she get sent so much later than him? How did she get here? It's rather unclear. There's a lot of discussion about the fact that she doesn't want to be here. She wants to go back home.
She doesn't age.
She doesn't age. She doesn't have mana, and she doesn't want to waste time here. She's just like, fuck this world. And Rudius has his first time of just straight up saying, like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Fuck that. So I do think that's maybe the only.
This is the most interesting thing
that happens.
Yeah, like
is
this
him saying he doesn't want to go back, outright.
But it's also not something I've seen in an isekai before, which I thought was kind of interesting. Of like, oh sure, I mean, the closest thing I can compare it to is like Devil is a part-timer, where an angel then just has to like go get him.
Right.
But this, for the most part, is. We don't know why it's happening. There's not a specific reason. She's just there because she's tied to him or whatever. I still don't think it's necessarily a good plot point.
So here's what's been bothering me about this
He
episode.
did. Sorry, he did save her and die trying because she lived, and that's a thing. Because she mentions in the explanation of her fucking story, like, oh, well, I guess because you were reincarnated, you have mana, and I was just transported here. She was alive when she was transported to this universe. That's very important to note. I don't know if she was transported at the exact same time as Rudius or anything, but
We gotta get into this.
why would he want to go back? In this world, he can own slaves.
Yeah. I think. Apparently, she says she was hit by a truck and woke up in this world. Either way, I don't really care. What I'm trying to explain is that in the big Mushoku Tensei rant we went on recently, I talked about how it is often credited as being like one of the like more original stories that like a lot of other rebirth isekai ripped off this one. But when you really look into it historically, like...
So, to be clear, Rudius did save her, but then instead of being alive, she was transported to the world. She didn't die like Rudius did.
Right.
It's just
Anyway.
It's important,
Yeah,
you know?
what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, of course.
At the time that Mushoku Tensei was first starting, there were tons and tons and tons of very similar isekai things being written on the same website. And, like, a lot of the ones that eventually became popular...
Excuse me, I just have to cut you off because some asshole in the chat just told me not to cut you off, so I just needed to cut you off because I'm going to do whatever I want. It's my podcast. Fuck you.
Damn, you're really coming at that guy.
I'm coming at anyone.
Anyway, before you...
Hey, he gets it. All right, rock and roll.
At the time that Mushoku Tensei first started being popular, there were tons of other isekai that were also becoming popular. That
Like
were all
the
doing
far
the exact same
superior,
thing.
and sorry to cut you off there, but the far superior isekai, I was reincarnated as a slime, which is much better than Mushoku Tensei.
Well, and that's one of the ones I'm getting towards, because, like, slime...
Well, then it's a good thing I cut you... Sorry, I
Slime
will stop
isekai had... I'm going to fucking kill you. Slime isekai already had the idea of, like, what if other people got brought from that world who also weren't killed, but, like, got full-on summoned over. And there was, like, regular black-haired girl who was wearing a white mask who was summoned from another world, and then, like, the main character fused with her and shit, and then there's, like, other kids who kind of look like her who were also, like, just this character looks and conceptually is exactly the same fucking thing that Slime already did. And Slime did that in season 1, so I'm sure it was earlier into publication.
I'm pretty sure Slime came out after Mushoku Tensei did, so doesn't that mean that anything Slime put out was actually just plagiarizing Mushoku Tensei?
I mean, I literally think that all of these isekai were just ripping each other off constantly, because it takes, like, to write one of these stories, like, they're all written in like one chapter at a time, basically, on the internet. You know, some are faster than others. Sometimes they take long breaks. Sometimes they're publishing, like, really regularly. But all of them are reading one another. They're super incestuous. Anything that's popular, everybody else tries to copy. And you also have to remember that regardless of which ones you've heard of that are, like, mainstream successful, that have anime, there are dozens that don't, that these people probably still have read if they are, like, really participating in the website. They've probably read some stories that weren't popular at all, some that were really popular, but ultimately, whatever good ideas these people were seeing in one another's stories, they immediately copied from each other. So, like, whatever original aspects might exist in any one of these stories, there's also always a bunch of other shit that is clearly copied from all the other ones around them, and they all just turn into, like, these weird assimilated monsters of, like, you know, of like generic ideas that in my head they all kind of blend together, because to me none of the things that make the shows distinct from one another are distinct enough to really be like meaningfully different in terms of what we actually get experientially from the story. In this show, like, the most unique thing about it is erectile dysfunction. That is the most unique thing about Mushoku Tensei, is that the main character deals with erectile dysfunction. So as far as I remember, like, this arc, to me, this whole season has just been the erectile dysfunction arc. Can he cure his ED?
Anyone who cares about spoilers, I'm going to say this for about 15 seconds so that you have no right to complain in the comments. Spoiler alert, 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 spoiler alert. If I see
I'd rather you just made them.
No, I know, but I'm just letting them know that if at this point afterwards I hear anyone say, "Oh my god, I can't believe you spoiled Mushoku Tensei," in the comments, I'm banning you. Because I gave you warning.
You did. All right, what's the spoiler?
Shilfy cures his erectile dysfunction when she finally just fucking says, "Hey, I'm Shilfy."
Yeah.
It's me.
And do they bone? They bone?
Eventually.
Oh, they don't bone.
She's one of his wives. Remember, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. He gets married to Roxy, Shilfy, and Eris.
Real quick, to Jacob Rose in the chat, who says erectile dysfunction arc is still better than 90% of isekai.
Wrong. Absolutely
It's
wrong.
just not
Jacob
true.
Rose, you were one of the people I was saying was like defending Mushoku Tensei, being a fan of Mushoku Tensei like correctly at first, but now you've gone into, oh, they're making fun of my favorite show and I hate it. So,
I just think it's just not true. I mean,
it's just not.
Isekai, not that there's a bunch of good ones, but like there's plenty that are better than this show. I mean, we already talked about Slime. I would consider Log Horizon an isekai, which is one of my favorite anime. I think Sword Art Online is better than Mushoku Tensei. Like, it just has more interesting concepts that it plays with.
I'm sorry, Sword Art Online is way better than Mushoku Tensei, and that's not an isekai.
It kind of.
I get where you're bringing the comparison, but it isn't an isekai.
I don't know. I feel like any isekai that I've watched more than like an episode of, I liked more than this one.
Because it's not a good isekai.
No,
it's a power fiction.
That one about the guy who
the vending machine,
cautious hero, the level cautious. It's just called Cautious Hero.
Oh,
that one was good. Better than this.
I liked
Konosuba is a lot better.
Level
than
999. We only watched like 1 or 2 episodes of that. I like that more than I like Mushoku Tensei.
I don't know.
Where he was like, no, because it was fun, right? Because it, like, when he changed in that world, he changed in real life, and it was cute. I thought that was fun. I thought that was a fun mechanic.
It was more interesting than this, that's for sure.
That is true.
So yeah, I think we pretty much talked about this episode,
Did
right?
we watch anime?
Oh yeah, Sylphie gets really pissed off when she finds out that the girl caused the thing.
Which you think might go away something about Fitz. You think you might, because Fitz really responded to the teleportation incident.
In spite of the okay, it's like what Fitz says here, like the dialogue used is words that only mean anything if this character is Sylphie, and yet Rudius comes away from it like, wow, you were really trying to stick up for me back there. You really cared on my behalf. It's like, no, what are you fucking like? Did you listen to anything that she just said? It's like willful ignorance at this point. Frustrating. Oh right, we still have to do Zom 100.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
you just assumed we were done, didn't you? You totally forgot.
You usually end us with the worst one.
That's painful. I never end us with the worst.
You've ended us with Mushoku Tensei at least twice.
I don't believe you. This is Zom 100, and this one we get the backstory of the girl who basically is the daughter of, like, Mr. Kingpin conglomerate man, owns everything guy, not unlike Akiha in Steins Gate, except that this dad is seemingly much more of a hard ass. He shits on her for trying to take in a sickly dog. He's like, you're just wasting your time. And then she ends up nursing the dog back to health, and she's like, what if I became a doctor? And her dad's like, a doctor? They just get sued all the time and fucking don't make that much money. Why would you want to do that? Those people exist to serve people like us. So yeah, he's just like a hyper-rich, megalomaniacal madman. And meanwhile, at this encampment where the former supervisor of Akira is putting him through the ringer, he's really like falling apart. He's ruining the vibe. Everybody's kind of pissed off at him. He's sucking pretty bad. And meanwhile, she's getting like hounded by Mr. Supervisor guy. He's like, oh, you should just fucking give me your tits. That's all you women are good for. You're nothing but cock bags.
At one point, she chugs a beer, and he goes, wow, I got something else you'd like to chug, which was really annoying for me, because this week I did post a video of me chugging a beer,
and someone responded, show me you deep throat without showing me, or tell me you deep throat without telling me you deep throat.
Look, if the girl dick is pretty enough, I'm sorry. But anyway, continuing, you can chug alcohol. And I feel like that needs to be said. You can chug alcohol.
She chugs it. She's so this episode, I actually kind of liked the tension I was feeling of which one is going to be the one to snap and like break the other one out of the scenario. Because
and Akira, of course, is not going to snap. Tendo, he literally, his whole problem up until the beginning of the show was he couldn't snap.
Right.
He does not have the willpower to snap. If someone shows up with a stronger willpower than him, he's going to fucking fold.
It seems like it. Well, I was really thinking as the guy is like sexually harassing her that's going to be...
No, because...
like he's going to see this happen.
I don't know how to phrase this.
But yeah, he already was being cucked by that other girl.
Well, yeah, he's doing that to all of the women. It just takes the women to fold instead of snap.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I know that's kind of insensitive, but it's like it's the same way he's manipulating men too. He is just a guy who knows how to sound strong and big, and he knows how to protect everyone. And if you fold instead of snap, then it works.
Right.
I like this analogy of fold instead of snap. Actually, it's really interesting. Anyway, continue.
Gotta roll on a dick, don't fold on a dick. Anyway. He manipulates Akira by literally telling him, like, you are absolutely worthless and you definitely would not survive in any context other than me literally telling you what to do. But, however, I do have confidence that you can do what I tell you to do like a good lapdog. So, you could totally live in my society as my little slave forever. And Akira's just so, like, bamboozled and weak that he is just going along with this. And yeah, it's kind of rough, like watching him give in and be subservient again, because it's like you could tell that it's just like so psychologically ingrained in him, the lifestyle he had before, that he's not even registering how he looks to people who didn't know that side of him. But she's looking at it and she's just like, wow, I cannot watch this. Like this is pathetic.
She had already been that way about the other side of his personality.
Right.
And he wasn't a fucking corporate slave.
Yeah, exactly. So now she's like really done with him. But like they were only supposed to be here for like 2 days. So
and they were.
They're ready to go, and then Akira's just like,
I'm going to stay here with boss.
It seems safe here. This is the outside world. Making my own decisions is scary, and I don't know if I'm cut out for it.
To be, the boss has a whole speech like, it's the worst to have to decide when you go to sleep or when you eat or when you go to work or when you take a shit. Or, I can just tell you when to do all of those things. And it's like, wow. I don't enjoy capitalism.
No. I personally really like being able to make my own decisions on all of those categories. So,
yeah, me too.
It's really hard for me to ever imagine myself becoming what Akira is in this episode. Like, I obviously have avoided doing this type of, I don't know. I get mad about the job that I like being somewhat exploitative. There's no way I could handle the level of exploitation Akira is allows himself to be put through. But, you know, she gives him a speech and she's just like, look, this dude's just talking other people down to make himself look bigger. He's a coward. He doesn't do anything. And you all look like idiots working for him. So I'm fucking out of here. And then she reminds Akira of his book of his 100 things. And he literally throws himself under the boot to protect it.
Well, and he just constantly goes like, sorry, boss. And then the boss goes, hey, you're putting me out here. And he goes, sorry, boss. And then he goes, hey, you're going to ruin your life.
Sorry,
and he goes,
boss.
Sorry, boss.
Sorry, I really fucked up. I'm done. And then one of these idiots in the baseball uniforms...
It's a survey. A supplies people. These people were sent out to get supplies, and whoops, a zombie got in the back, and whoops, there's a zombie in the compound now, and... I guess for some fucking reason these people have never dealt with that before. Wouldn't you want to train your people on how to deal with zombies? Because these people are using zombies for manual labor.
Yeah.
You'd want to know what happens in case a zombie gets loose.
The manual labor zombies get loose. Now everybody's getting eaten and killed and stuff. But Akira bravely saves his old boss, so now he doesn't feel any sense of owing him anything.
No, because that boss is a fucking cunt. He deserves to die.
Yeah, he saved him in spite of the fact that he deserves to die. They do a whole thing where they like surround the zombies with these 4 big trucks and then blow them all up. And
that was really cool. Completely unrealistic.
It was very random. And then all these guys are like, hey, you know what?
Hey, we brought these supplies in here. We're gonna take these supplies out. You're the worst. We're not living under you anymore, boss man. Akira Tendo's the best. We're gonna follow his example and go live our own lives somewhere else. Which, I'm gonna be completely honest, you could have just kept the society you had and kicked that guy out. It would make more sense to just have a safe, secure place. I'm sorry, I've watched a lot of The Walking Dead.
So nobody said to Akira at any point, hey, aren't you still trying to get to your parents' house?
He's been trying to do that the whole time.
Your parents' house? I'm just saying, they didn't mention that to him when they were arguing why he shouldn't stick around at this place. I think he just he forgot about mom and dad out there in the countryside.
No, because that's still his goal. I mean, once he snaps out of it, you know?
Sure. Anyway... Yeah, they all abandon the boss. He's crying on the streets like a lame, and that's the end of that episode. We did it. We watched anime. I thought the Zom 100 episode was okay. I thought this arc was...
I think this arc was dumb, and I didn't like it, to be honest with you. It was very like The Walking Dead. They needed to pepper some kind of American struggle with it. I don't know that I believe Japanese people would do this kind of thing.
What, create this little...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know why you think it's very American, but interesting take.
It's just a very American zombie movie trope is what I mean.
Sure. I think most zombie movie tropes are American because they're mostly American movies. But well,
I'm gonna go chain smoke. No, I'm kidding. I am gonna go chain smoke.
Yeah, the episode, I thought thematically it made sense to do this story at this time. It just wasn't that really engaging of a story. It didn't have interesting dramatic turns. It kind of made Akira just look like a weak little bitch until...
Which he is.
He was reminded that he's supposed to stop.
He's only a weak little bitch when the terrors of capitalism come upon him, which is to say capitalism is very strong and you can be persuaded by capitalism very easily. Capitalism bad.
Spirelord says, I completely believe this could happen in Japan because Japanese salaryman structure is so hierarchical and oppressive and it just runs like clockwork that it would be easy for bosses to recreate it.
See, my only exposure to Japanese salarymanism is Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen, which is basically Jujutsu sorcerers are shit. Salarymen are shit. I'm going to be a Jujutsu sorcerer because I can make a difference there.
Yeah.
I believe you. I believe it could happen in Japan.
We'll have to watch Hataraki Man. That's a show I think about all the time. Because it's a show about a lady being a working man. And in Japan, it's just crushing working environment.
We watched anime.
We did it. Hopefully we're going to get a fucking place this week, and then this show will be so much easier to do from now on.
I'll be completely honest. We're in a place where we're probably going to do the manga podcast tonight, barring any extenuating circumstances. I would prefer to do it tonight while we have safe internet and everything.
All right, we'll talk about this off the air.
At the very least, we're going to finish Haruhi Suzumiya.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye.